miss much. You're probably better off. As long as I'm not making a weird face, I think we'd be okay.
Well, I hope I don't do something stupid. Is like,
you know what? I used to think about that, and then I realized that I do a lot of stupid stuff anyway, and people seem to enjoy it. So I think I'm in good shape.
Excellent.
I'm just letting everyone know that we're good to go. And I'm going to provide them the link, and then we can get started with all the weird questions I'm going to ask you.
Excellent.
They won't be too incisive, just Social Security.
Yeah, no problem.
Current address, that
Credit
sort of
card
thing.
Information, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, just the regular stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, I'm sharing it now.
I hope this doesn't crash because it is doing a weird thing right now. So
I can still hear you, so that's good.
Okay. Can you see anything?
Yeah, I can see you. You're moving around just fine.
Okay.
All right, well, let's check YouTube and see where we're at there. We should be good to go. I've got a couple of subscribers, so hopefully they didn't run away from us.
I will tweet something now.
Yeah, we've got 4 people watching, but hopefully there'll be more.
Here we go. I'll retweet this.
All right, while you do that, I'm going to bring up the questions.
All right. Oh, good. It's not frozen anymore.
We fixed it.
Is yours not? Wait.
It's doing the double thing. Give it a second.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
I gotta mute YouTube or it's gonna be crazy. All right. So here we go.
Ready?
Get ready for your questions.
Awesome.
First of all, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of yours. I think I already told you that. So I'm going to ask, well, first of all, this is Sarge Meets the Internet, episode 2. I have with me little Miss Liz. I'm going to call you Liz. Is that okay?
Hello. Absolutely.
All right. So let's start with you. Who are you?
Who am I? My name is Liz. I'm from the DC metro area, and I am way less interesting in person, I think, as people think that I am online. I'm also going to just go ahead and tell you that I'm terrified right now that I'm accidentally going to forget that there's a video happening, and I'm going to like pick my nose or something. So
is that like a thing you normally do? You're normally just digging around up there, like trying to find stuff?
I don't think I do, but I don't want to lie. So it's like,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's a little bit about me. I mean, I don't know. What else would you like to know?
Do you have any hidden talents? What's your hidden talent?
Oh, I don't think I have any hidden talents. I am really good at making things weird or like Debbie Downering a situation without meaning to. I'm trying to think of a good example, but like I used to work, I was a phlebotomist for a while. So I have like some kind of a medical knowledge.
Lots of blood.
Yes, lots of blood. So someone will say something and it'll just be like a totally innocuous, like, oh, I like Dexter. And I'll be like, well, let me tell you about Dexter. This is what happens when your carotid artery is sliced. And people are like, what the hell is wrong with you?
I actually have a big problem with the well, actually. I do that too sometimes. Like I'll be talking to somebody. For instance, I was watching Chernobyl. Mm-hmm. And I started talking to somebody about Chernobyl and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so tragic and everything that happened is so jarring and uncomfortable. And I was like, well, actually, when you get radiation poisoning, you don't actually look like that. Radiation isn't contagious, and like one of this whole. And then I was like, I just ruined a TV show for you that you would enjoy. Yeah. I don't feel good about myself right now.
I do that all the time. I don't know why it happens, but it does. So I like to think it's part of the charm, though. So
yeah, I feel like that's part of it too. People are like, just don't watch war movies with Sarge, and everything's gonna be fine. Because I will ruin the shit out of a war movie. It's compulsory. I just can't handle it. Like I'll watch one and I'll be like, that guy's uniform is all fucked up. What are you doing?
Whenever I meet someone and I'm going to watch a movie with them, I have to give them like a heads up that I have a terrible habit of, because I just consume movies at a crazy rate. I have a terrible habit of being like, oh, that actor dated voice this cartoon, and people are like, can I just watch the goddamn movie?
Why can't I enjoy this? Why do you have to ruin everything that we do? I like your T-shirt, by the way. I just noticed Iron Maiden.
Thank
Today
you.
I'm repping the Beastie Boys. This was my Father's Day present.
That is very cool. It's funny you said that because someone posted an incredible link today on Twitter of a performance they did, I think, on the Letterman show, and it was awesome.
They're just amazing. They're just amazing. It's obviously heartbreaking that we lost. It was Adam, right? I think that was his name. I can't. Terrible names.
It sucks, but
I was driving to work the other day listening to Beastie Boys, and I was like, oh my God, I'm heartbroken. I'm never going to see these guys live.
That happens to me all the time. And unfortunately, not all, but most of my favorite bands, the people are dead already.
Yeah.
Or, I don't want to laugh, but it's just like, it keeps happening where someone's like, oh, who's your favorite band? And I'm like, well, can't see them. So.
Yep. It's not worth me telling you.
I Debbie Downered that. Real fast.
Okay. It's okay. You know what? Now we got to see it in practice, and it wasn't that bad. It was like a little sad, but it just reminded me that I'll never see Jim Morrison live.
Yeah.
All right. So now you got to tell me a joke.
Okay. So I am not really good at jokes. I think that I'm just accidentally funny, and it's usually just telling a story about something ridiculous that happened to me because ridiculous things happen. But I know one joke, and this is my favorite. So I'm just going to do it.
Okay.
2 whales walk into a bar. They sit down. And the bartender asks them what they want to drink. And the first one says, and the second whale goes, God damn it, Frank, you're already drunk. I think it's better in person because you just like, if you're in a group and you do it to like a really long time, people are like, what the hell is happening?
My favorite part of that whole joke is that you committed. You stuck with it.
Thank you.
You're like, I'm going to do this whale impression for as long as I possibly can. And that's what made it funny. Because it followed that arc where it's funny and then you're like, oh, it's still happening.
What the hell's happening?
And then you're like, oh, no, it's still funny again. It's still funny. Yeah. It's still good.
Yeah, that's my favorite joke. And I usually do that because then people that know that I have Tourette's are like, is she like I'm like,
the biggest surprise ever?
Who knows? Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Thank you very much.
Oh man. Okay, so now is the part of our show where you have to do a Boston accent.
Okay, my father is going to kill me. My dad went to BU, and my family are like well, not my family, my dad, and I am too. My dad is like a diehard Bruins fan. I am so bad at this. But the only way I can do any kind of a Boston accent, and it's still going to suck, is when I try to do the back and forth that I think it was Jimmy Fallon and Ben Affleck used to do on SNL, where it was the no ma gasia para.
That's
over and over again.
There's no easier word to show off a Boston accent than saying no ma. No ma gasia para.
No ma gasia para. Or I try to do the something from The Departed.
Oh yeah,
pretty bad.
I'm not a fucking cop.
Who am I? I'm the guy who does his job.
You must be the other guy.
Yeah. I wish I could do a better Boston accent. My dad is going to hate this.
He'll be okay.
Yeah, he'll survive.
We won't judge you on that one part alone.
Yeah, I almost wore a Bruins t-shirt tonight to try to pander to the audience.
But after they blew it, we don't talk about it until next year.
That was hard, but I'm okay. I'm a diehard hockey fan. The Caps are my team, and I'm season tickets, and they just ate it in the first round.
Yeah, that was rough.
That was really rough. And then I was rooting for the Bruins, but
yeah, the Bruins the Bruins broke my heart only because we were doing so well. And then it's like the whole team just decided to replace themselves with a JV team, especially Game 7. Where did the Bruins go?
My dad texted me in the middle of the game, and he just said, "This blows."
Yep.
Yeah, it really does.
It was just heartbreaking.
But next year.
Yeah, next year. It has to be next year because Char is like 500 years old. We only have him for a little while longer.
He's amazing, though. And I can't even imagine, for the amount of stuff that I bitch about when I'm like, I have a headache. I don't want to see humans.
Yeah.
And his jaw is wired shut.
Yeah. He took a hockey puck to his face. Yeah. And it was like, no, I'm going to keep playing this game that's almost killed me a couple of times. We'll see what happens.
It's crazy.
All right. So now you got to do an impression.
Oh, my God. That
it could be anybody. No, it did not count. No, you got to do an impression. It could be anybody.
I don't think I can.
All right, we can come back to it.
Okay, well, let's go back to it.
Think about it a little bit. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
So who are you listening to right now? Who's your favorite band right now? It doesn't have to be a favorite band of all time. Who are you listening to right now? Like, who's your...
I listen to a lot of stuff. Right now, I'm kind of like going into my Rush phase.
Okay.
A lot of people hate that, but I am a Rush fan.
Rush is a very polarizing band. People either love them or they hate them.
They either love them or they hate them.
There's no people who are like, yeah, Rush is all right.
There really is no middle ground. You're exactly right. They either hate it or they just love it. But I feel like I'm kind of like middle ground. Like I'm like, I really enjoy this, but I'm not like die hard.
Yeah, I'm not going to get their t-shirt, but there's some songs from them that I like. But my experience has always been people are very one side or the other on Rush.
Yeah. I'm also really, this never stopped. I've always been a huge Soundgarden fan. And last couple of days, I've been just throwing myself back into it. I constantly forget that Chris Cornell, and again, I Debbie Downered it.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Because we already talked about the fact that all of our favorite musicians.
They're all, yeah. But no, so I'm big into all the 90s, all of that, any kind of metal. And then at the same time, one of my favorite performers ever, which everyone's like, how does that line up with anything? But it's Jackson Browne. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a little out there, but it's not that bad.
Not quite Iron Maiden, but you know.
It's not like you were like, oh, my favorite musician aside from Iron Maiden is Christina Aguilera, of course.
No, that's not it. But I do have some guilty pleasure like musicians that will horrify you. So I'll save that.
Okay. All right. We'll save that for the lightning round.
Absolutely.
I actually have a funny Soundgarden story. So Soundgarden came up to Boston and played a show, and Coheed and Cambria opened for them. And I didn't really know Coheed and Cambria all that well, so I didn't notice that anything was different. But then I got home and I saw this article that one of my friends who was at the concert posted. Apparently, that day was the day the bassist from Coheed and Cambria took a cab down to North Attleboro and robbed a pharmacy. And then got arrested at the venue. And so the bass tech had to come out and play bass for him.
Well, that's hardcore. Yeah, I was so lucky I got to see Soundgarden like right before he died. They were touring with 9 Inch Nails and it was amazing. And I'm the kind of person who just goes on and on about music. So it's like a religious experience a little bit. And it's so good. Yeah.
Music's a big thing for me. I took my daughter to a Slayer concert.
That's awesome.
I had to, I mean, it was their last show. It was literally their last show. Their last show was played at the Xfinity Center out in Mansfield, Mass. So I had to go. So I took my daughter, and actually this is the band that I'm listening to now is not actually Slayer. I got obsessed with the band Amon Amarth that opened up for them. Ooh. And they're like melodic death metal, but they're not like the death metal where you listen and you're like, I don't know what's happening. There's like 3 or 4 notes, and then the guy just sounds like he swallowed a frog. It's actually like pretty good. It's pretty... Yeah, it's listenable. It's really, really good. So I was really shocked because I did not know that I was going to like that.
I love when that happens. I was supposed to go to see Slayer the final tour, and I'm a big Anthrax fan. And
Anthrax, yeah, because Anthrax was playing with them not this year, but they played last year with Testament.
Yeah, they were touring together, and I have a huge crush on Scott Ian. Nice Jewish boy. I don't really have a crush on him anymore, but I did growing up, and I was dying to go, and then I ended up traveling. I can't remember if it was for work or something, but I got a pair of shorts, Slayer shorts, and a Slayer t-shirt.
You had Slayer shorts?
Yeah, I have them still. They're awesome. They're like booty shorts.
This is the problem with being a guy. They don't make shorts for your band. Like women, they make all the clothes for you. With guys, they're like, you can have a t-shirt and a sweatshirt. You cannot have boxer shorts, socks, nothing.
Yeah.
It's a ripoff. I would wear Slayer socks like to work.
Oh yeah.
Like a button down. Like nobody knows I'm a Slayer fan until I have to sit down and my pants right up a little bit.
They're amazing. They're just like Slayer booty shorts. And I don't know why I just went like that, but they're like Slayer booty shorts.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you watching right now? What show are you into? And if you say Chernobyl, I apologize.
No, I haven't seen it yet. And everyone says I should watch that. They also say that I should watch Fleabag. I haven't seen that.
Fleabag?
I don't even know what that's about, but I've heard really good things.
I'm hoping it's about a veterinarian.
That would be amazing. I'm
or a
super
dog running
behind on all of my shows, just because I haven't had time, and mostly I've been watching movies. I started watching this show called You, that I guess I don't know if it wasn't meant for someone in my delicate age bracket,
around.
but it did not work for me. It was this guy is like a stalker, and I guess like a lot of like the teenage girls who were watching it were like, "This is super romantic, and he loves her," and I was like, "No, this is not it. This is not it."
That's
Mostly,
not
I watch a lot of movies, and
okay.
I'm super excited for the new Tarantino film.
Okay.
Um, uh, about Sharon Tate. Again, I dip down. I'm super excited for the Sharon Tate movie.
I'm super excited about this horrible death scene that I'm going to
Yeah.
see soon. I'm kind of excited about it too, but only because I know the history of Charles Manson.
Right.
And I know that he's not the horrible monster serial killer that everybody makes him out to be. He's just kind of a dipshit in the same vein as like David Koresh
Yeah.
and Jim Jones, like just a moron. He's not this like evil monster who kills people. He's a crazy guy who did a lot of acid and then just sort of went with the flow. And then when everything went sideways, he's like, "Oh shit, I better go hide in this cabinet. The cops are here."
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he does with it. I'm a Tarantino fan, and so.
And it's a great cast.
Yeah, definitely. My favorite show, I think, of all time, and this might just be like everybody feels this way, but Breaking Bad is always going to be up there for me.
I struggled getting into Breaking Bad.
Me too. I think it was
watched
like
it and I thought it was good, but it took me. I haven't been through the whole thing. I've watched like the first season and then I watched the last episode. But I'm also kind of an asshole when it comes to shows like that, where people are like, "You have to watch it." I'm like, "Oh, really? That's a challenge."
Was the same
now
thing.
I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I waited like 3 years, and everyone was like, "What the hell? Like, we're gonna talk about it." I was like, "I don't care. I'm not gonna watch it.
I'll just drink while you talk about it.
Exactly.
And I'll pretend I know what you're talking about."
And then I waited, and I finally watched it, and everyone was like, "You've got to give it like at least a season." And I have the attention span of a fly. Like I couldn't do it, and I kept pausing. I finally got into it, and it gets really, really good.
Good.
Yeah, so that was pretty fun. I've also seen every single episode ever of Law and Order SVU. So. That's lots of murder. Like,
you know what's funny is I was really into the CSI shows, but then I joined the military. I joined the military police, and I started to learn how police work is done, and realized that you can't like touch a translucent screen and immediately find out who committed the murder.
Right.
It takes a lot of work.
I would be a terrible cop.
Yeah. I wouldn't be a great cop either. That's why I didn't pursue law enforcement afterwards. I would have such a hard time with everyone hating me all the time.
I think I would have a really hard time with that too, but also I am super accident prone. So like,
you probably don't want a gun or a nightstick.
No, you don't want me to have a gun. Also, again, I have Tourette's and like really bad eyesight, so you never want me to have a gun ever. And I feel like I would just like I'm a really messy eater, so I feel like I would probably just like spill like coffee on the crime scene or something.
Coffee and like chili and stuff, like shove it up in the scene. It doesn't really present the look of authority you're going for, I think.
Not at all. It's not good. So it wouldn't work. But I wanted to for a while. And I think it was only because of the CSI and like all the like NCIS. I was like, I could do this. And then I was like, no, I'd probably end up accidentally killing myself and or other people. So
I think the problem that I'd run into is that I'd also feel really bad. You know, like I pull somebody over and their you know, sticker's expired and their license is expired. It's just some poor dude trying to get to work. I could never be the guy who's like, okay, well, you got to go to jail now. I'd be like, all right, listen, Steve, just go and let's pretend we don't know each other. Let's pretend this didn't happen.
Right.
I'll tell the radio that I made a mistake.
I act like such a badass, but I also feel like I would be like, okay, well, you promise you're not going to do this again? Like, promise? And then like,
don't do it again,
just
Steve.
like smiles. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
I'd be so bad at being a cop. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Okay. What inspires you? What gets you going?
Oh my gosh, everything. And it's kind of, I think people get a little bit annoyed because I'm always like talking about like, oh, I'm passionate about this and that. And my best friend is like, how many goddamn times are you going to use the word passionate? Like, it's like the freaking, was it like Will Ferrell, and was it Anna Gasteyer? I can't remember who it was on SNL, or they used to go back and forth and talk about like the lover thing. I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So she's always like, that's like you. But music, watching other people listen to music for the first time and hearing a band for the first time, especially if it's a band that I'm familiar with, but if it's anything that you can tell like in their eyes that they're really enjoying, that is just like instant inspiration for me. I went to art school and never did anything with it, but I went for fashion design. So I'm very motivated by color and texture and things like that. Yeah, mostly music though, I would say inspires me, and food. I'm very food motivated. So it's like, I pretty much like, if you see like, I feel like I don't know how I made it to 32 without getting lured into a windowless van where someone was just like, I've got candy.
Guy's got like a corn dog. He's like, hey,
I love corn dogs.
Right?
So like,
how can you not love corn dogs?
They're amazing. And I talk about them on Twitter a lot. And my followers who are from England, I guess, have never heard of them. Or some of them haven't. And they're like, what the hell is a corn dog? It's like, we got to talk. Like,
what you need to do is fly to America right now and find the shittiest, creepiest state fair you can. Right next to the llama tent, there's going to be a guy selling hot dogs wrapped in cornbread.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Just for that. That's what we're good for.
So for me, when we were talking about music, that reminded me of the whole reason I took my daughter to see the metal show. So I know that she likes metal, but it was mostly that kind of like Guns N' Roses or Metallica. So we're sitting down, and the Viking metal band comes on and plays their first song, and I look over, and it's just that break in between songs, and I'm like, all right, honey, what did you think? And she's like, Dad, this is awesome. Because the Viking ship had glowing eyes. You had like the 4 guys standing in a row doing like the head thing, and their hair's going around. And it just totally wrapped her in. So then as we're leaving the show, we didn't stay for the whole thing because she's 10. So she's like about to go to sleep. It was like 10:30, 11 o'clock. She's ready to pass out. And I'm like, all right, kid, what did you think? Did you like the show? And she's like, Dad, can I swear? And I'm like, well, I mean, we have been in a metal show all night, so I can't really tell you no when all the other adults are wearing swears on their shirt. Yeah, okay, you can swear. And she's like, that guy over there is fucking wasted. I look over, and there's this like dude who's got his shirt off, and he's just like slow grooving, but it's to Slayer, so there's no slow songs, I'm like, what's happening? Who let him in here, and why haven't they taken him out yet?
Yeah.
But she still talks about the show now. She talked about, we had family over today for Father's Day, and she just could not. She was like, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I had to update her iPod like right when we got back. I was like, okay, well, I guess we're taking Britney Spears off here. Here's some Metallica. Here's some Anthrax.
Right on.
Talk to me when you're ready for something a little heavier. But yeah, she's all about it. And that was the look I got. It was just like her eyes open wide up, her pupils dilated, and I was like, I've created a monster.
Well, it's so cool that you get to share that with your daughter. I mean, almost all of my music influences are because of my dad, and he used to drive me to school, and we would listen to music in the car, and it was like, I mean, I'm really dating myself here, but it's like the Moody Blues, the Cars, Jackson Browne. That's how I got into. But I went to college in Richmond, and I lived there for like 7-8 years, and there's so much metal out of Richmond. So like Gwar, Lamb of God, and I got to see the best shows there. But I've seen Gwar like 5 times, I think.
I really want to see Gwar. I really do.
I try to tell people because they're like, why would you do that? Even if you're not into the music, the experience is so cool. Like, it's loud as hell. Everybody's having fun. It is so messy and like disgusting.
Yeah, but that's the point. That's why you go. It's
so good.
It's going to be a shit show no matter what.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love it.
So you mentioned Lamb of God. That was one of the T-shirts I got for Father's Day. I was going to wear that one, but I chose Beastie Boys. But yeah, so I was a big Lamb of God fan. So I was very excited to see Lamb of God and Slayer. Mm-hmm. And I was very disappointed when my daughter told me she did not like Lamb of God.
Really?
I don't think there was a reason for it. I think she just wanted to text a little bit.
Yeah.
And Lamb of God just happened to be playing, so she wasn't paying attention.
Yep.
But anyway, all right, so let's get into, what's the next one here? Who is your favorite social media account? Like, who you love to follow?
I mean, besides you.
Oh, there's no way I'm your favorite. I can't be. I'm like,
pretty great.
I'm brand new.
No, you're fantastic.
Thank you.
There are a lot of people actually that I really like. This sounds hokey, but most of the time, just people who are positive. And there's I think a big group of people who are just funny and positive, and it's just I don't go online for negative shit.
Yeah.
It's like there's enough of that in the world. So I think there's one person. I wrote it down because I keep messing up her name. I think it's all bollocks is her name.
Oh yes, I absolutely adore her. She is so great. I'm gonna tag her when I tweet out the episode. She is amazing.
She's
absolutely
amazing.
Adore her.
She's adorable and she's just hysterical and a total badass.
Yep. Her videos are really funny too.
They're really funny, and I like it because I dance the same way. So I'm like,
okay,
I feel like
I feel normal. This is an okay way to dance.
Yeah, she's great. Who was it? Ashley Graphics or G Graphics?
Yes, I love her
She's
too.
Super positive and fun and happy. I follow a lot of art and illustrator accounts too. Shannon Stamey is an amazing illustrator. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, you should definitely check it out.
Okay.
And I know you are into like the monsters and horror movies, so that's definitely a good account to check out. But
you know what's funny is that when I started on Twitter, I was actually a political account, believe it or not.
Yeah. So
if you dig back into my ancient tweets, you're going to find some real embarrassing things that I believe. I still believe them, but I stopped being a political account because I noticed that there were so many people out there who had far more well thought out opinions than I did, and they were kind of saying all the things that I believed, and I'm like, I'm not helping anybody. So I decided not to be a political account and kind of like get away from that. And so the positive thing, the reason I bring any of this up is because I decided over especially the last year that I just wanted to be a lot more positive on Twitter. I wanted to be an escape from all the craziness that's going on. And I think it's kind of worked out well because, I mean, it's not that I'm not paying attention. It's not that I'm not politically active. I just don't think I'm the right person to put that out and put out my beliefs and all that stuff. But I also want people to realize that just because you and I might disagree politically doesn't mean that we can't agree on something else. So for me, I like the fact that I don't get into politics because it gives me a window into kind of like everybody else's world. Whereas people would just block me if they disagree with my political beliefs, you know, and I don't necessarily agree with that. I definitely don't agree with that, but it gives me the opportunity. And now actually one of the biggest fans of Citizens Guide to the Supernormal, which is my podcast, she was a Trump supporter, and things sort of changed over the last couple of years. And she realized like, okay, this isn't necessarily what I agree with, but I feel like if I was one of those accounts that was so outwardly against him or outwardly against any of the Democratic candidates or anything like that, I feel like I would lose those connections. My goal is that I kind of want to be that safe space for everyone.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. For me, it's weird because I am in like the belly of it. I've worked in DC most of my life. And for years I worked in law firms and global law firms. So I definitely like, I can't decide what kind of, everyone's like, what's your social media brand? And I'm like, well, yesterday I was tweeting like about politics. This morning I'm tweeting about like horny Jeremy Irons tweets. Like, then I go to music, then back to politics. Then it's like some like inspiration. You guys can do this. Like, and then I'm like pissed off about hockey.
Don't get me wrong. I get tied in all the time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the president says things and I can't ignore it. Like when he said the moon was part of Mars. It's not there.
Really big problem with not responding to those tweets. So I've gotten better at it, but lately I've been, when I was doing it, it would just take off and it would just piss everyone off. So like all the incels would just flood my mailbox.
Yeah, those are the worst.
It was the worst. So it would go from like weird, creepy, like porn tweets and like nudes that I never asked for. And to like death threats, porn. Like,
death threats.
Yeah. It's
that always kills me too when people like, they read a tweet and they get such a visceral reaction that they actually want to threaten your life. It's like, that's just words on the internet, right?
Right.
Like, do you get this mad on Reddit?
It's
because they're on Reddit.
Yeah, they're all on Reddit. My pin tweet is about Star Wars, and it's not canon, and it makes a lot of people angry.
Oh, holy shit! Yeah, that's trouble. That's trouble right there. For me, I don't care about any of the rules. I have as you know, I have a massive Lego collection, and I have stuff from the new movies. I have stuff from the there's a Death Trooper from Rogue One. Mm-hmm. So, but I have friends too that are the same way. They're like, no. This is not Star Wars. And I'm like,
right.
It's a movie about space magic. So I think it's okay to like it however it comes out.
The worst part is I made the mistake one time. And again, I've gotten better at not responding to things, but I think I've gotten wiser with age. But I, for a long time, was just like, if someone said something smart, I'd come back. So there's a mix of people who are like, oh, this is a really cool thought process that you came up with. And then the people who are like, this is horrible. This is an affront to George Lucas. And someone said something once, and I was like, the movie has a fucking fish as a admiral. Like, I'm not shitting on it. I love Star Wars, but it is a fish. And this guy was like, well, actually, he's not a fish. It's and I was.
But like Admiral Akbar really comes from a planet that I think is called Calamari.
It is, yeah. So that's what he said.
He's a fish that is from a place named after Italian cooked squid.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe don't take it so seriously. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
It got out of hand real quick, and I was like, all right, have a good night. And
sometimes you just have to back away and be like, you know what? I can't fix you. Yeah, whatever your parents did to you, I'm sorry, but I can't fix that.
The other thing is that my entire family is on Twitter. My mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my other sister, cousins, everyone. So I try really hard because every so often, it's not as bad as it was before, but I'll tweet something and then I'll get a text from my mother immediately. Usually if I talk about getting a tattoo, she'll respond back and she'll be like, Elizabeth?
Over my dead body.
Or this is your mother. And I'm like, first of all, I know it's you.
Yeah, obviously.
She's amazing. But yeah, so I try not to bring shame upon them on the internet, but it happens. So.
I go through phases where I'm like, I hope to God my kids never find my Twitter.
Yeah. It's always weird when it happens.
My mother-in-law and my father-in-law follow me.
Yeah.
And my younger brother and my younger sister follow. My older brother used to follow me, but he was a very political account. Mm-hmm. And it didn't end well for him. So he just got off completely. But my little brother, my sister, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, my friends, and obviously Maynard, my neighbor. Mm-hmm. So I don't really filter myself because I say most of the things I would say at home, but I can't my mother-in-law will still send me messages. Like I posted something about having an existential crisis. It was just kind of like a joke. I wasn't really serious. And she was like, she sent me a text. She's like, are you okay, honey?
Aww.
Do we need to talk? She's the sweetest woman in the world. I absolutely adore my mother-in-law, but I was like, no, I'm totally fine. Yeah. It was a joke format that obviously didn't go well.
This happens to me constantly. Also, like I have incredible parents. I am super lucky. But we, like I talk about a lot, we're Jewish, and I have an amazing Jewish mother who definitely I have trouble sleeping. So I'll be tweeting at like 3:00 in the morning and I'll get a text that's like, why are you still awake? Put the phone down. The blue light is bad for you. I love you. Good night, honey. And I'm just like,
that's awesome.
I'm 32. I love you too. But no, she's amazing. And she's really funny. She's just started letting loose on the internet and giving her opinions.
Awesome. That's awesome.
It's really great. And my dad likes all of her tweets. Like he's her hype man. It's really
that's so great. That's so sweet.
It really is. Me, not so much.
I have a big connection in the Jewish faith. I grew up Protestant, but the church that I went to was really big into interfaith stuff. So we actually had an event once where we had a Buddhist monk and an imam from the local the local mosque, and then a rabbi from the local synagogue. So it was very big in our church to kind of understand other faiths, but especially the Jewish faith, because it's so close to Christianity in the Old Testament. So, but I also grew up having a best friend who was Jewish, And we grew up in a neighborhood that was mostly Catholic. So we were like okay with everybody, but we're sort of on the outside at the same time. So he and we've been friends for 32 years now. And when I got my house, he actually came over and hung a mezuzah in the door that I go in and out all the time. Yeah, so it's really cool. And like he came this Hanukkah, and he taught my kids like what Hanukkah is and how to practice it, and we did the candles for the 8 days. So I've always had a connection to the Jewish faith. My mom's best friend was Jewish too. So that's very cool. Yeah, so I was like, I get really excited about that interfaith stuff. My brother-in-law's Muslim, so we all kind of, as a family, we kind of learn about different cultures and different worlds. And I think the more people learn about it, I think the better understanding they might have. That some of those fears might go away.
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up in a very, very religious home. My parents are still super religious, but they've always been very open-minded. I hate using the word tolerant because I don't feel like we should be tolerant of other people.
Yeah, it's not about tolerance. It's just about you believe in something, I believe in something different, but we can hang out in the same room and that not be a huge issue.
Exactly. So we grew up and we were very, very religious. Like my parents, my dad doesn't drive on the Sabbath, and they have separate dishes. And I just remember I went to a Jewish day school growing up at Hebrew school, and we spoke Hebrew. And I just remember being so pissed off growing up because all of the amazing Easter candy came out during Passover where you can't eat anything.
And you can't eat it, right?
And I was just super angry. So when I was like 18, I was like, screw this. Like I'm gonna do whatever I want. And
have you thought about just buying it and then keeping it in the freezer until Passover's over?
Yeah, but it's not as fun. Like it's just
all right, fair enough.
I don't do it now. I mean, I'm not religious anymore, but I do have a strong connection, obviously, to the community, and I love all the traditions. And
the tough part for me is that my actual first name. This is going to be most people don't know this. I think I only put it out in DM rooms and stuff. But my first name is Christian, so it's a difficult first name to have.
Yeah.
Because when I went to Iraq, I didn't want to tell anybody who,
Right.
They'd be like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, it's on my uniform, my last name, which I'm not going to give out just for my own safety, I think. But and they'd be like, "No, that's your last name. What's your first name?" And I'm like, Ed. But it was also weird because, like, in school, kids would be like, "Well, you're not Christian because you're not Catholic," and I'm like, "No, there's others. There's a whole other group. It's not just you guys." We got a whole thing. But then I also, was very aware of the fact that like super, very religious Jewish girls couldn't date me. And there was a Muslim girl that I went to high school with, and we got real close. And I didn't get to meet her dad either.
Really?
It's sort of a challenging name to have.
Yeah.
But what's even funny is that I don't identify as a Christian. I kind of stepped out of that whole, and I just I do whatever. I mean, my son likes to go to church, so I'll take him to church. But my other kids aren't really into it. My wife's not into it. So, but I don't want to be the guy who's like, no, it's got to be this religion or no religion. I kind of like to learn about all of them because I think they're fascinating. And I think that's a big part of where some of the videos that I do when I talk about mythology come from, because I've read a lot of mythology, and that was always fascinating for me when I was little. And so the stories stick in my head now, and I'm like, wait a minute. Wait, he turned into a swan and then had sex? Why did he have to be a swan? Is that what she was into? I don't get it.
Yeah. It's interesting, like when you go and look back, because I remember I was such a bad kid. My parents will tell you that like I'm being too hard on myself. I was such a jackass, and I was always like the rebellious, weird one. And
somehow that does not surprise me.
But like I got like really good grades growing up, and I was always nice to people, but I was just a real smart ass. And I used to go to Hebrew. I went to a Jewish day school during the week, so we spoke Hebrew there. But then I also went to Hebrew school, and I would do nothing but go to Hebrew school because I was a little bit robust as a child, and they used to have donuts.
I know that feeling.
I was really
definitely not a skinny kid.
I was not a skinny kid either. And they gave out donuts. So I was really excited about that. And I'd go there and have donuts and like flirt with the guys in the class. And they're they were not flirting back, but I was flirting with them.
You know what? I had the same problem. I used to flirt too, and we didn't have Hebrew school. We had church fellowship. Same results for me though. Donuts, yes. Girlfriends, no.
Yeah, I was not good, and I definitely got kicked out a few times. I think my brother got kicked out of Hebrew school too. My brother is a lot funnier than I am, and he is. I don't know if you remember, but way back when Obama was leaving office, these memes started, and they were of like Joe Biden pranking Trump. My brother started those. Yeah, my brother made them. My little brother.
Awesome.
And he's just the funniest.
Those are
might be the funniest person I've ever
funny.
Known. Yeah, he doesn't. I don't think we have very different Twitter personalities, and he's a professional. So I don't usually tag him in things because some of I love everyone who follows me and interacts with me, but some of them are a little odd, and I don't want them creeping over.
So that's a good segue into the next question. What's the weirdest social media interaction you've ever had?
Oh my goodness, that is like opening a can of worms.
No, we don't want to talk about your horrifying experiences, anything that you're scared about. Just the weirdest one.
The weirdest. Well, I mean, first of all, I think it's super weird, but really cool when you interact with like a celebrity or someone who you grew up liking. So it's not weird, but like somehow I don't know how our paths cross, but I think you guys follow too. Jeremy London.
Yes.
And
Jeremy London is
awesome.
Yeah. And it's so weird because I'm like, you were in one of my favorite fucking movies. And now we just talk about like kids and stuff.
Right. I don't want to be like, and I've definitely once said it too, but I was thinking about it and I was like, I've had pictures of you on my wall. Like, we're not going to talk about it. No, but he's awesome. And like,
he's so nice. He's so welcoming. Yeah. People give him a ton of shit online because, he's had stuff go on in his past, but he's just been such a kind and nice person to me and to friends of mine. And I find a lot of the hype that went against him a little hard to believe. I think, and he even said, I was never convicted. I didn't do anything wrong. It was just a disagreement or whatever. But long story short, he's just one of the nicest, most genuine people I've talked to on Twitter. Absolutely. And he's very real. And he snaps back when people pick on him. And he and I actually, I met him through like a DM room, I think. Mm-hmm. And I actually did a review of a movie he made for his acting school. And that's when we got started talking. And we're actually talking, hopefully he'll be on the Citizen's Guide to the Supernormal soon.
Awesome.
And hopefully he'll be doing Sarge Meets the Internet at some point or another.
That is very cool. Yeah.
He's a very cool guy. And so, yes, it is weird because I loved him in Mallrats. And so to actually be able to talk to him and have conversations with him, it's just like, I'm a total fanboy. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So that's a good weird interaction. I mean, other weird interaction, I have the weirdest DMs sent to me and I had to stop. I keep them open because I want people to, there are times when I'm not talking about like horny Jeremy Irons tweets or things like that, where I'm talking about actual stuff that I go through and have been through and people can relate. And I want them to know that if they don't have anyone to talk to or they need to get it out, they have a place to go. So I don't close my DMs. But I have like a lot of unopened, unread ones because I get very strange requests sent to me.
There's nothing worse than looking and seeing someone sent you a picture.
It's
because for me, I know it's going to be like, Han Solo fighting Captain Kirk. But for you, it's going to be a very different experience almost entirely.
But the best thing was I was talking about it recently and I was like, I get a lot of people just sending me pictures of their junk. And I said something about like dick pics. And then this one guy started sending me pictures. And you know how it says like, this might be suspicious content. Yeah. And I was like, on a whim, I was like, fine, I'll open it. And they were all pictures of Dick Van Dyke. And I'm a huge Dick Van Dyke fan. So I was like, this is awesome. And then this other guy sent me something and it said like unsolicited foods. And it was just pictures of like like things he had made, like pies and like cookies and shit. And I was like, right on. Like that's
I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
food
very
porn
cool.
is way better than real porn.
Yeah, but I
Sometimes.
get a lot of weird. Yeah, sometimes I get a lot of really weird requests, and I never want to like ever kink shame anyone or anything like that. But it's not.
It's the feet thing, isn't it? I get that too sometimes, and I'm like, I don't know what
And
about my account made you think I wanted to buy a photo of your foot. I'm not against what you're doing.
No, not at all.
I think it provides a valuable service to people who need it.
Of course.
But I don't want your foot. Yeah. And good luck. But I also get nailed with porn accounts that they'll follow me, and I don't always read a bio when people follow me. I'll just follow back if it's a bio that doesn't say "am loving person." You know, like if I know you're not a Russian bot, I'll follow you back. Yeah. So I followed back this one woman, and she yelled at me because I didn't pay for her porn service. And I was like, you followed me first. Right. I just followed you back. I thought this was like we would never talk again. I just follow you and then I'll see your tweets and retweet them. But it turns out she was very mad and then told me to block her.
Oh,
and I'm like,
goodness.
Why do I have to block you?
Right.
What's happening right now? Why is it?
There's a lot that goes on. And the thing is, like, this happens all the time where I'm like, I have these moments where I say, I'm just going to quit Twitter. It's so negative. And then someone will do something that is so ridiculous or hysterical. I happened to like maybe a few months ago when the cheesing babies thing started. And I was so pissed off because I had someone like sending nasty messages to me and my friends and my family members. And I was like, I'm just going to close it down. And then I opened it up that day and someone was just like, hey, look at this. I was just like, this is so ridiculous and stupid, but I have to watch. And, like I want to watch everyone's videos of like cats in costumes riding Roomba.
Yeah. That's the thing about the internet. And that's kind of my motivation for actually doing this, doing the interviews. Is that I want people to see that that big account that that you fell in love with for whatever reason, there's a human being behind there. There's like a person with opinions that are valuable opinions. It's not just all jokes about throwing cheese at babies,
right?
So that's why I think it's important to like. I think there's a big lack of empathy, I guess is what I'm trying to say on the internet. I think people see the avies and they see the filtered photos and they don't realize that behind that, might be somebody that you really get along with. Yeah, you might not always share the same beliefs, but there's something there. There's a reason to talk to that person other than the one thing you don't agree on. And then you can talk about it. My father is a huge Trump supporter. Mm-hmm. We just don't talk politics when we talk to each other because I'm not going to change his mind. He's definitely not changing my mind, but there's still good things about the man. He's just, politically we don't agree. And I think we're starting to get to a place where it's very publicly okay to be like that.
Yeah.
And so yeah, anyway, cheesing the babies is funny to me. But I prefer the cat because at least the baby's like, this is a person I trust. And if they're doing this,
it is awful.
It's probably okay. The cat is just like, cats only have a memory of like 3 days. So when you throw the cheese at the cat for 3 days, he's like, that guy's a fucking weirdo. He's into something I don't understand and I don't want to be a part of it. I'm just going to hide under the dishwasher for a few days.
See, for me, the cats scare me more. I like cats. I actually really do. But they're like crazy smart. And I stepped on my best friend. She's cat's tail. She's been my best friend since I was 8. So this is years. I stepped on her cat's tail when we were like 9 years old. That cat lived for 14 years afterwards and never fucking forgot. And his name was Casey and he was an asshole. And he just like, I'd walk in the house and he would just look at me like, if you fall asleep, I'm going to eat you. And you just knew, like, you knew that cat was going to fuck you up. Like
my mom took one of my cats to get neutered. And, for the rest of his life, he just did things to piss her off. And I'm convinced that's why. I'm nearly certain.
Yeah, that sounds like it. And I really do like cats. Like I had them for a while in my 20s. I actually had they were brothers and they were from a litter. My ex and I at the time lived together and we got cats and the whole litter was named after the Jackson 5. So
nice.
we got Michael and Jermaine had like functional disabilities, and so like I felt like we're like kindred spirits.
Kind of like the
I
real
was
Jermaine.
twitchy and stuff. Kind of like I was twitchy, and he like could not measure jumping spaces. So
oh my God, those are my favorite cats.
They're amazing.
They're all heart, no brain.
Yeah. Oh, so the whole time I would always hear something. I would hear like, so it was like getting ready to jump, and it would just like hit the wall, slide down, and then walk back and try it over and over and over again. And I love that cat. But no, cats are really smart, and it scares me.
Yeah. So I have a cat named Ralphie.
Awesome.
Ralphie the Wonder Cat. We named him after Ralph Wiggum. And he's dumb as shit, but he has these moments of like he knows how to play me against the other people in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll come and wake me up, and I'll just immediately like in a fog feed him, only to find out my son's fed him and my daughter's fed him. And I'm like,
cat's an evil genius.
Yeah, I'm like, Ralphie, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like he's not smart enough to realize that my foot is attached to the rest of my body. Mm-hmm. So he'll attack my foot, not expecting any repercussions whatsoever.
Yeah.
Also, he wants me to pick him up. So like I'll pick him up and I'll hold him for a little bit, and then I put him down, and it's like clockwork. Immediately after I put him on the floor, he'll attack my shins. Yeah. Like some kind of rotten son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. And I don't get it, because I'm like the nicest person in the house to him, but he eats me the most. Well, he doesn't bite the kids. Yeah. He bites me.
I don't know what it is. And I think the reason that I like cats is because like if they don't want you to mess with them, you are not messing with them. That cat owns you. You don't own the cat. Yeah. Is really what happens. Like
that's kind of what I admire about them too. They're like, I don't really need you. I know you're gonna provide food for me, but other than that, you're my bitch.
Exactly. They're pretty amazing.
All right. So we gotta move on to the next question. Right. What's the worst place to go on a first date?
Oh my goodness. The worst place to go on a first date. I would say probably jail, but and the thing is,
we're gonna go visit my mom in prison, and then we're gonna go see a movie.
Right. I know people who've had like first dates, and then like one person has gotten arrested like that night or something, like following up, and that's never happened to me. I think all of my first dates ever have been like going out to dinner or drinks. Yep. But I know the worst first date that I ever had, this was years ago, and it should have been a red flag, but I went out to drinks with someone, and he told like 5 minutes in, he looked at me with this weird look and said, and I swear to God, if you could eat a human and not get prosecuted, would you? And I was like,
That's oddly specific.
It was oddly specific. It was weird, and we still ended up dating for like 4 months.
I'm gonna write that down so that I can ask the next guest.
Yeah,
because I kind of like the question, but if a woman asked me that on a first date, it probably wouldn't end well for me either.
Right. It was
because I'd probably be eaten alive. I'd be a skeleton hanging on her wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's creepy as shit. Holy God.
It was super, super creepy. And for some reason, I guess it didn't deter me. I don't know. But yeah, I would say jail is probably the worst.
Jail.
I know a lot of people say movies, and I get that because you can't like talk and you can't connect. But I love movies. So yeah. I don't think that is.
But the thing is, the reason why a movie is a great first date is because you go to the movie first, and then afterwards, if you both, like, if there's no connection, you at least have something to talk about until the obligatory time period is up and you can drop them off.
Right. And I always liked movie dates, like, growing up, because not that I went on a ton of dates growing up.
I didn't either. I know the feeling.
Like I need to put that out there because one of my siblings will see this and be like, she's so full of shit.
She's lying. She's lying.
But they're like, I liked it because I had super social anxiety and I was nervous, and I still a nervous person, but it was way worse then. And you could go there and you sit next to the person and you don't really have to like super interact while but like then you said that you have something to talk about afterward.
For me, the nightmare is because I also have a little bit of social anxiety. It's gotten much better over the years. But for me, going to dinner without any context before was like a nightmare because I need a moment to warm up, and then I have to eat in front of this person.
Right.
And I'm like, you're not going to get the food you like. You're going to get the easiest food to eat. so that you can eat it and not make a mess of yourself. Like, I'm not going to get spaghetti and meatballs. I'm going to get like chicken fingers and eat one of them and then take the rest home like some kind of asshole, even though God knows I can eat 8 or 10 chicken fingers in a sitting. But I'm so nervous and uncomfortable eating in front of a stranger that I want to like me. No, God, the idea of going to dinner on a first date is just goddamn horrifying.
Well, I think like for me, is the worst possible scenario would be if there was no conversation. I tend to have awkward pauses, but with the right, like if you're out with the right person, then you can just go through it, or the awkward pauses don't feel so awkward. But if you have nothing to talk about, biggest pet peeve ever is if someone is rude to wait staff. That makes me want to just like,
game over, man. I used to wait tables. I waited tables for 3 years. I was also a bartender for a year. No way, man. If you're rude to wait staff, you're just the worst kind of person.
Right. And it tells you all you need to know about the person. I've found that to be true in every scenario. If they're shitty to wait staff, if they are shitty to people who are waiting on them in any capacity, bartenders, they're going to be shitty to you and to other people.
It comes down to empathy. If you don't have empathy for that person, and you don't think to yourself like, God, they must have a real shitty job.
Right.
We can't be friends, because I'm like empathetic about weird shit. Like when I see a squirrel fall out of a tree, I'm like, oh man, I bet that hurt a little bit. Are you okay, buddy?
I always joke about it and I say like, I have a lot of feelings, but I definitely do. And so it goes back to the Stanley Cup. I am a diehard hockey fan. I'll watch any hockey. But obviously when the Caps were out, I wanted the Bruins to win and they didn't. And when I was pissed off and I was so angry, but then I saw one of the players on the Blues, his dad was in the stands and he was freaking out and he was going, "That's my boy." And so I could see him mouthing it. And I was like, oh. And then I stopped and I was like, no, get it together. Like, what the hell?
I'm a huge Bruins fan too, but honestly, if I had seen that, I probably also would have been like, oh.
Yeah.
Like I have that moment where I see my kid do something awesome and other people recognize it and I'm like, yeah, that's mine.
Right.
I made that partially half made that happen. I didn't have to do all the horrible things to make the child come out, but I was a part of it somehow.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the section where we're going to do some questions from the audience.
Okay.
So we're going to take like a 2-minute break where I run to the fridge and grab more beer. And everybody who's watching right now, throw some comments in the comments section. And then you can ask Liz questions, you can ask me questions, or you can just make a general statement that we're going to comment on or make fun of if you say something hilarious. Who knows? So not really 2 minutes because my fridge is literally right there, but whatever. A minute or so.
I'm terrified to see because I can't see what any questions are.
So you can just do this on your phone if you want. You can just go on YouTube on your phone and go to my. Somebody said we never got the impression, Liz.
Oh.
Somebody was paying attention. You got to do the impression now.
I don't even know what to do. When I used to have 30 inches of hair and it was all curly and I used to do Alanis Morissette impersonations all the time. I'm not really good at that anymore. But
you know what you could do is you could do Alanis Morissette from Dogma and just not say anything.
Yes, and that's actually my favorite. I love it so much.
She's so good in that.
So does it have to be a vocal impression or can it just be like a physical impression?
You could do a physical impression.
Okay, good, because I can do like a monkey, so and I do the fart noise. The fart noise, I feel like, is my gift to the world. That's my hidden talent right there. I can't snap, I can't whistle, but I can all day long.
You and my 4-year-old have a lot in common. You could probably have some great conversations.
Probably. I feel like I relate to kids really well because of that.
All right, so Liz, you got a question.
Okay.
How long did you practice your Boston accent for?
For no time, actually. For a
Zero
little bit,
time.
0 time, a little bit earlier before. And then I was like, no, this is going to suck. And when I was practicing it, actually, I went to summer camp in Massachusetts and Boston for a while. And again, my dad had gone to BU. And so I have experience with that. But you know how when people always tell you about Park the car and have it yet?
Yep.
That was what I started to do. And I was like, I hate myself. No.
It's a big bone of contention for us because we're like, you can't park there. You really can't park anywhere in Boston unless you're willing to pay like $700. Parking spaces in Boston are more expensive than houses in Alabama.
Yeah.
And that's not an exaggeration. To park, there's one parking space in Boston that I saw listed in a real estate. There was no house attached. It was just a parking space. $236,000.
I believe it. New York is like that also.
Yeah, it's insane.
I don't know where that money comes from, but
it's too much.
Yeah.
All right. So, what's the next concert you have lined up? Who are you going to see?
Shit. I don't know actually. I know it actually might be Iron Maiden. I have to look and see because
Iron Maiden's playing here in like a month, like less than a month.
It might be Iron Maiden. I don't know. That's a really good question. I know Jackson Browne is coming in. I want to see him again, which is again a weird deviation from Iron Maiden. And the last show I saw was Nine Inch Nails, so it's all over the place. But yeah, I've got to figure that out because I know I have stuff on the calendar.
I'm going to see Devil Driver.
Oh, cool.
Devil Driver is doing a show at the Worcester Palladium, which is the stabbiest place in America. You feel like you're going to get tetanus just walking in.
Yeah.
And but it's a great metal venue, and a lot of great metal bands play there. And so Devil Driver is actually performing with Static X. And the lead singer of Devil Driver is going to sing for the remaining members of Static X. So it's going to be an amazing show. Very cool. Excited.
Very cool.
Let's see.
I have to see.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm trying to pull them up too, and I can't for some reason. I can't see. Ooh, but I do see that there are 35 people watching, so I feel very special.
I'm very excited too that so many people are watching because I don't normally get this many people to stand me for this long. So I'm glad you're here.
Join the club.
Metal Dave. Let's see who else we got. In the back corner, I have a Brookstone speaker. Yes, I do. A waterproof Brookstone speaker that doesn't ever go outside because it's behind Rocco and Heifer and Clark Griswold and Lemmy. So it's just going to have to stay there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Rocco's Modern Life. I forced my kids to watch it.
Did you ever watch the show Our Real Monsters?
Yeah.
I love that. And like people ask what cartoon character you relate to, and I feel like I'm super Oblina. Like it's like
my favorite show of all time on Nickelodeon would have to be The Adventures of Pete and Pete, though.
I loved that show. I love just Snake in general.
Where Artie, the strongest man in the world, fights the ocean. Absolutely. Just the show, it suits my way, I think. What else we got? Metal Dave, me and you, we'll meet up at Static X. Just shoot me a DM, and I'll come and talk to you. What's the worst thing you've witnessed a restaurant employee doing to somebody's dish upon returning to the kitchen? I guess that's for me because I used to wait tables.
I'm terrified. Tell me.
There was a guy who was very condescending to a female waitress, and he was calling her honey and stuff, and he was just an overall douchebag. I think just saying the term overall douchebag, you can imagine what he was wearing.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
was it salmon colored?
Maybe. And before Vineyard Vines was big, so he's really a douche. So she came back into the kitchen in tears because she had asked for, she had dropped the check, and when she dropped the check, he took his credit without looking at her. He took his credit card and just kind of threw it at her, and it slid off the table onto the floor, and she had to bend down and pick it up, and he made some comment about her butt. So she came back into the kitchen, and she was grabbing him a refill on his drink and doing his bill.
Mhm.
And so I witnessed a guy take all the ice cubes that were going to go in the drink and put them in his mouth first. And then he spit them into the
Oh,
cup one by one and then filled it up and gave it to her so she could take it out to him.
oh my God.
And normally, I mean, people in the restaurant industry are like, no, you don't actually spit in somebody's food. This guy fucking earned every drop of saliva that he got Diet Coke that night.
That is terrifying, but deserved. I
He
mean,
totally deserved it. I mean, the fact that he was a douche, like whatever, there's a lot of people who are having a bad day and you don't know what it is. But then he talked about a butt, like just a shitbag.
yeah, that's awful.
What's the worst dining experience you've had in a date? Liz, you take that one.
Besides being asked if I wanted to eat a person.
The second worst dating experience you had.
I mean, I've been very lucky that I have not had a lot of bad experiences. That was bad. What might have been the worst? I don't like when I was in. Oh no.
Okay. Oh,
When I was in college, I went out on a first date with someone, and we ended up dating for a very long time. But we went out to dinner, and like every single thing that came out was wrong. And I don't know if they had a bad day, but they were in a mood, and then it was super awkward and weird. But yeah, I would definitely say being asked if I would eat a person within the first 5 minutes was probably the worst.
I think I'd be more uncomfortable with the person who sent everything back to the kitchen.
Yeah. Well, that is weird for me. I mean, I don't know how much of it is like I don't want to inconvenience people, and I'm not
neither.
a pushover.
If they get my food wrong, I'm usually okay with it. I'm like,
it's not gross or like
yeah. I think the audio got messed up for a second.
Oh no.
Oh, you're back. It's okay.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Hold on. Questions. Liz, she did say she had long hair at some point.
Yes.
What's your favorite ice cream flavor?
Ooh, I like all ice cream.
Yep.
I'm a very food motivated person. But I would say dulce de leche I really like. I also really like strawberry, and I feel like that gets a bum rap. Like I love a strawberry milkshake, and I don't care what anyone says.
Strawberry ice cream is awesome. So I'm a mutant. I don't really like chocolate all that much, actually. So when given the choice, I don't ever take chocolate ice cream. But my favorite ice cream flavor is maple walnut.
Ooh, I've never had that before.
Friendly's maple walnut, very good. I also like pistachio ice cream.
It's good. I just got so excited because I forgot about Friendly's.
Friendly's. So the problem with Friendly's is they're closing down a lot of their restaurants. So a lot of communities are losing their neighborhood store, which breaks my heart because, when I was a kid, when you got out of elementary school, like the last day of school before the summer, my dad would take me down to Friendly's. We'd get an ice cream cone. Like it was a big thing. So the fact that there are kids who aren't going to get that now, breaks my heart a little bit.
I loved the I'll just always remember we had two in our neighborhood, and there was one where everyone was so shitty that my mom would call it the unfriendlies, so we didn't go there. But we went.
So you were lucky enough to have a good Friendly's in town and a bad Friendly's.
Yes,
okay,
on the bad part of town. No, so the good Friendly's, but we'd go there and they had the ice cream that just, I guess they made it look like a clown, like with the cone on top, and then and I just really like
they put the cone on sideways and it had I definitely remember that one.
That was awesome.
Let's see. Liz, have you ever been a model?
No. People, that's very very flattering that people ask me that. Several people have asked me that recently. Never done that. I've done some extra work of movies and television, but
yeah, I saw that on your Instagram. You had posted something about that.
Yeah, because my friend was telling me, she was like, I want you to make an IMDb page, and I was like, I'm not going to do that until my 2 credits are not Slutty Dancing Girl 1 in like direct to DVD. I don't even know if it was ever made into anything. I have the demo reel from it, but like a zombie film. And then
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun. And this past year, I was in a few episodes of House of Cards as an extra.
You were?
Which was
all right.
fun.
Well, now I got to watch House of Cards.
I don't think you can see me at all. And
it's just an elbow. I had that happen to me too once, actually. I did an independent film called Mass Holes.
Right on.
And yeah, it was about people from Hull, Massachusetts. And I wasn't from there, but I was in it. And I made an impression on one of the production assistants, not because I was good at acting or anything, but because I had a lot of 80s vintage clothing. Because my older brother was he was big into like the Jabot jeans.
Mm-hmm.
And remember the shirts that you could touch and they would change color?
Yes.
Your body. So I had one of those on, and the guy was like, "If you give me your shirt, I will put you in another scene." And I was like, "Fuck yeah! Like, of course you can have my shirt." So I was in a bunch of scenes. I was at a house party scene. I was in another scene by like a school, and then I was in a scene at an old fort out in Hull, Massachusetts. And it didn't go anywhere. Nothing happened with it. And then I got cast in a movie. It was like a vanity project from this rich guy who was also nuts. Mm-hmm. And I think we filmed like maybe 20 minutes, and then he disappeared completely off the face of the earth. No one could get in touch with him. The director's like, I don't know what happened. He's just gone. And then I did an art film, and this one broke my heart because it was a guy who was really talented. He was really smart, and I was one of the main characters in the movie. And then I thought we were done filming. And so I had enlisted in the military, and I was going to basic training. So I called him about a month before basic training, and I'm like, hey, just letting you know, I'm not going to be around for about 6 months. And he's like, you're not? And I was like, no. And he's like, we have to do some reshoots in July. And I'm like, I'm literally going to be in Missouri. I can't do it. And so they had to cut me out of the entire film and completely replace me. Because, I mean, one, I wasn't going to be there, but two, they would have to redo everything because I would have been super skinny.
Yeah.
Because I would have gone to basic training. So that was it. That was it for me. I stopped pursuing acting, and now I just make weird videos on Twitter.
I think that's excellent. I mean, I always like the like 2-minute synopsis of like horror movies, and that's why I think I found when I first came across your account, and I think it was like Night of the Living Dead or something, but I was just roaring. That was hysterical. But yeah, long story short, I've never done any actual modeling. No one has ever asked me that until the last couple of years, so I'm extremely flattered, but I have not. No.
All right, so we're gonna do one more question, then we're gonna say goodnight. Okay. What are 3 or 4 of your top favorite movies?
Oh, okay. So definitely, and I don't care what anyone says about this, Empire Records is always going to be in there. I love that movie. Yeah.
I love it. Rex Manning Day. I got so excited this year because Maynard, my next door neighbor, he sent me a text message saying Happy Rex Manning Day. And this was the first time in a long time that I knew it was Rex Manning Day. Mm-hmm. And I went fucking all out on Twitter. So yes. And that was actually the first time I heard about Gwar.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cause I remember that. Yeah. No, I love that. And so always Empire Records. I love LA Confidential.
That's a great movie. So good. Kim Basinger and Guy Pearce and Russell Crowe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
so good. And Danny DeVito played an awesome character in that movie.
He did. He was amazing in that. There's so many of them. This is hard. What else? So I'm going to put Labyrinth in there because I'm a diehard Bowie fan, and there are much better Bowie movies, and I've seen them all. But
it's a good movie. It's a good movie. His penis was a little disarming.
See, I think I was just about to say, like, that is sort of that was the weirdest thing because, and I think you ask any like heterosexual woman my age, and they'll tell you that it was really confusing time for them because
David Bowie's bulge changed the way you hit puberty.
He was very I mean he was wearing like a lot of makeup and everything, but I was just like, yes, all of this is working for me. It's like an awakening. So yeah, that also.
I learned something new about myself while he plays with that weird glass ball.
I love Welcome to the Dollhouse. I feel like that is a super underrated movie.
That is a great movie.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the actress, but there couldn't have been a more perfect actress for that role. She was in that movie with Anne Hathaway about being a princess or whatever.
I always say her name wrong. It's Heather Matarazzo or
yes. It's something like that.
Amazing.
But she was phenomenal in that movie. That movie has like equal parts uncomfortable and brilliant. Like the scene with that kid when he's trying to get her to go into the abandoned house, like just, the movie's fantastic. Movie. It's a great movie.
I always, also Warren is in that from Empire Records.
Yes, he's the bad kid who tries to get her into the. So honestly, you just like that actor. You're just following him around.
A little bit, Brandon Sexton. See, it's just like. For some reason, I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I can always tell you the name of the actor.
So I can never remember actors' names. I'm terrible at it. But there are some, obviously, that I love. Gary Oldman, Tim Roth, guys like that. My favorite movies would have to be Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dying with Tim Roth and Gary Oldman. I don't know how else to describe it. The perfect example of how good they both are on stage together. I also really like The Shining, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. I think it was just an amazingly well-made film. Even though Stephen King hated it so much, he made his own with Tim Daly from Wings, which ruined it for me. I was like, aren't you the Casanova guy from Wings? This isn't working for me. I love Glenn Ross.
Absolutely.
Alec Baldwin's speech from that movie. I know it's supposed to be like this rousing speech, but to me, it's just hilarious, especially when he pulls out the brass balls. And I'm like, you just carry those around for this particular, like, he's just got two balls attached by a string that he carries around in his fucking briefcase everywhere he goes, just in case he needs to tell Jack Lemmon that he sucks all the time. And then another Kubrick film. I know I'm being a fanboy, but Full Metal Jacket.
Of course.
Amazing movie. My grandfather let me watch that when I was far too young to watch that movie. And
it's a great movie.
It's so good. It's two movies, basically. It's two movies.
Yeah.
It's a basic training movie, and then it goes to a war movie. But either one, fantastic. And then just to wrap it up, even though horribly inaccurate, I loved Hurt Locker. That movie was fantastic.
It's a fantastic movie. It really is. And I was just talking to someone about that recently. That movie, that was great. It took me a while to actually like sit down, because it happens a lot where you mention it when someone's like, you should watch this, and I'm like, well, now I'm not going to.
Yeah, yeah. I don't have time for your movie.
But it was great.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I watched it while I was in Iraq.
Oh wow.
And I gotta say, a lot of that movie is totally inaccurate. But what really struck me and like really caught my attention was the portrayal of the landscape. Iraq looks just like that movie.
Like
I was, the cigarette butts, the dirt, just the trash everywhere. That's exactly what it looked like in the town that I worked in. And then their portrayal of PTSD.
Oh yeah.
It was just spot on. Exactly it. Like when he's in the supermarket and he's just like totally overwhelmed and looking around. I had a moment like that. Because in Iraq, I had a choice between like 2 different cereals when I was in the PX. And then I hit a Walmart and I was like, this is too much.
Right.
How much? I can't eat all of this and no one else can either. I have to leave. So yeah, just a phenomenal movie and really well done. So on that horribly depressing note, Debbie Downer ×2 tonight. But so thank you all for watching. Liz, thank you so much. Do you want to plug your social media accounts and anything you got coming up?
Sure. I don't really have anything coming up, but if you would like to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at Little Miss Liz. And I'm also on Instagram at the Twitchy Pixie. So
follow her Instagram. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
You always find like the coolest places to get pictures taken.
What did you say?
I said, you always find the coolest places to have your picture taken.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Everyone's always like, who takes these pictures? And I'm like, well, first of all, I do have friends and like, I do talk to people, but I've just like started learning about like photography and like setting up the cameras and stuff.
Awesome.
So, but thank you very much.
Also, that's when I realized that you and I share a love of Doc Martens.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I'm a big fan too. If Doc Martens wants to give me money, for a long time I worked for a shoe company that was not Doc Martens. And it was difficult for me because there wasn't a day that I could wear my Doc Martens to work. Yeah. And so it was a struggle. So
I couldn't deal with it.
All right. So thank you all for watching. Have a great night.
Thank you.
And all right, we'll see you later.
See you.